Nida namda ravza Chine dungo jeje ze Nije toga lebam Kanda zebe ze Ramare Mondom donga jezer Rozo gomla boje Yela joju yande Roda jero nyomoni Neje chandro roze Mare munz Tonga nyugu Chenye joze ralde Dene daje saje darsu Yende le zo jase doengu Chutra juda chunye jemje Tale munze jam Yala de marabodana Om Arabazana de Tseden Jeje Jeravazure Tale de Mombaravzali Kadante Shunlo Doba Lord Bobbe Nawa Zaldus Kanse Davara de Ba Jose Devara de Nai Kombo Jamya de Nini Keme Baryan Tuwara Shu Laso Ane Tsangmala Yanjar Ane Samjitashi Tele Shugayin.
I would love to welcome everyone. So Tashidile is Tibetan hello and welcome.
Ane Nazoda Tirenge Yarke Rangjung Yeshe Institute Yarke Zindango Tsubare Ane Ti Nane Tanda Nazo Patrul Rinpoche Sungpa Ye Jonjuki Kumrim De Shuere.
So today we are starting with the Rangjung Yeshe Summer Program, and for the duration of next 4 weeks, we'll be teaching the text composed by Patrul Rinpoche that is entitled "The Brightly Shining Sun: A Step-by-Step Guide to Meditating on the Bodhicaryavatara." Khenpo and Karmachik. And the translator's note is, for those who follow us on YouTube also, the text, the English translation of the text that we will be following is available for free download on Lotsava House. So everyone can then have the same text. Awesome.
Also, da Jonjuk Kumrim Jonjuk Shung De Jaga De Kepa Chumbo Shiwal Hai Zaishabare De La Ane Jawa Mangbo Yure Ane Palchu Rumbuche Ye De Jonjuk Ye Tonda Nega Tsangma Tsula Dune Ane Kansa Nyamlin Chegani Na Dra Lobjong Chegani Na Dra Le Lawo Chedu Ni Songsha Yu Jire Le Lawo Hakwe Na Xie Chedu Songsha Baba Jire.
As we have seen from the title, this text, The Brightly Shining Sun, is a guide, we can say the step-by-step guide to meditating on the Bodhicaryavatara. So the Bodhicaryavatara, that's the Sanskrit title of the text, and in English it's translated as the Way of the Bodhisattva, is very famous Buddhist classic that was composed by Shantideva, great Indian scholar. So this is the text from the 6th century. And since then, there have been plenty of commentaries on this text. And in our class, specifically, we will be following a very short commentary. Right here, we have a text that outlines the stages of practice for the Bodhicaryavatara. And it's outlined in a really convenient and easy to understand way, whether you're a practitioner of Dharma or you're just a person who is interested to learn about Buddhism. Whoever you are, this text is extremely easy to understand.
Mingdo dagbar mazena jigden tamje mongbar gyuru tewe kumbo tapkebe chena mingdo dagbar zaya sung yore. Nazo pecha ming madagba ina, nazo pecha kang yin kayimi ngosugu yo mare, ming dagba ina, ani wata kang na kayimba de nazo shenji chetubu re.
And first, I wanted to comment on the title itself. Titles are actually really important. Because as it is said that if the titles were not given, or if the names were not given to the things in the world, we will be really lost and confused, right? And so is the same with the text, with the treatises. They need to have a title, then it's much easier for us to distinguish between, oh, this is this text, this is another text. So title is something that is quite important, and we start by expounding on the meaning of the title.
Mingye gyumzan shenpa yang mingde loba tsamji peche di kangi kongdo resha kwaji ta peche di kang kongdo redo kang sui tsamjo resha tsamjo sui bada hago khaburwa di kwaji choja kari redo wadenzo yang hago tubi rehas me kasha yin.
There's another reason for why the titles are important, the titles of the Buddhist scriptures. For example, some individuals, by just reading a title, will be able to understand, will be able to conceive of the whole meaning of the text, the subject matter. Just by reading the title, they will understand to which category of the Buddhist teachings this text belongs. Right? They will understand maybe what is the source of the teachings. They will understand the subject matter. So some individuals are capable of decipher that from just reading title.
Chedu danda dela yang Patrul Rinpoche yi peche de mingla Rangjung Senpe choba la jubi gomrim rabsal nyema sheja wa shuzos dosong nangdwa ta dela yang deshe dodoji shugin.
So now, as for the title of our text that we will be studying, here in English, we have the main title, which is The Brightly Shining Sun, also known as The Brilliant Sun. And then we have the subtitle, which is a step-by-step guide to meditating on the Bodhicaryavatara.
Ta Rangjung Senpe choba Rangjung sedu zana sik tokto shena sanje ji gopang nabu yore. And te tse ka salu dangna Chang sedu ko chok nyi na xia yore chok chik de xie bi tong dare. Chang ma tar chin de pe nga zo pe chang ma shu yu ka riya ha gu yu se gan ro. Chok chik ne Chang sedu kyon de zo pang pe cha re. Danda de kyon pang pe cha de la xia xin na rin do. Kyon da nyon mong ba na xie je tre ba la so mi xie ba mong ba tam je ne pang ba me ba cha pe cha ne chang je. Da xie bi cha de o ma ne ten xiang do chup se gan de ha gu wa. San je gi xie je yun ne ma lu ba san na min do. Je da da jin ye Khenpo ji zal ni bo de zo gu yo ba yin zang chu ba sam la gu re. Chang chup san san je dun go pang.
So now, as for the title of our text that we will be studying, here in English, we have the main title, which is The Brightly Shining Sun, also known as The Brilliant Sun. And then we have the subtitle, which is a step-by-step guide to meditating on the Bodhicaryavatara. So we will now comment on word by word of the title. And here comes a translator's note. The Tibetan order is reversed from English. So of course, Khenpo is commenting on Tibetan. And so we're going to start reading in English backwards to understand the text. And so Tibetan starts by saying Jiang Chup. And here in our title, it's actually the first part of the title Bodhicaryavatara. So in Tibetan Janchup, here in Sanskrit, it's Bodhi. And it's a really extremely important word. So we're now going to comment on the Bodhi, right? The first part from Bodhisattva Charyavatara. So what is Bodhi? In Tibetan, the word consists of two syllables, Jang and Chup. So the first part, Jang, can be understood in two ways. One way, when we use this word in Tibetan, we might refer to comprehending the whole of phenomena, understanding something, comprehending something. Or another way to understand Jiang is to purify. And here, when we comment on the meaning of Bodhi, so first part of that word, which is translated in Tibetan as Jiang Chu, this Jiang actually refers to this process of purification. So Bodhi in this way means to purify or get rid of all the faults, all the defects. What do we mean by faults? Well, in Buddhism, we usually speak of the different types of defilements, something that obscures us, such as our difficult emotional states, like emotional obscurations of disturbing emotions, or it also refers to cognitive obscurations of this dualistic fixation of our mind. In other words, ignorance, confusion, not knowing, all those faults are purified. That's Jiang. That's the first syllable here. Then another syllable, the second one, Chup, that's the second syllable that translators in Tibet rendered this word Bodhi. Chup means to unfold. It means to unfold, expand, and here it refers to unfolding the knowledge, unfolding all the different types of wisdom. And in Buddhism, we usually speak of the two types of wisdom or knowledge. We can say the knowledge that understands the meaning, the true state of all phenomena, or another one, the knowledge that understands all phenomena in their multiplicity. So we have here, therefore, Chup, comprehending all phenomena as they are in their multiplicity. And so in this way, this word alone, Bodhi, which actually, if you would go directly from Sanskrit into English, means the state of a Buddha, Buddhahood. This is the achievement of enlightenment, Bodhi. That's enlightenment in English. So in other words, then, we can see that what is meant by enlightenment or a state of a Buddha is the state when you have purified all defects, all defilements and obscurations, and you unfolded all types of knowledge and wisdom.
아니 대절라 삼바 선레부여래 삼바 세조잖아 로 측태가샤나 빨로호 여긴 자와 가리나 제투게 단다시 용도 정주 삼바 랍용도 고 저바 파루도 첨바 졸라서 바다 자고 저바당다 칼바 망보지릉라 아니 저는 도고바 윤두 텐데 저바제라 아니 심지 밤무 미슌바 심지 톱선 네바드야 펠겐 아니 더 자고 저바 칼망게 다 윤능게 독스그로 된저 상마 칼바 망보릉라 양 아니 제지 심지 네바드 쇼좀바 여긴 여장 삼바스기레스
Kalpamampo, Kalmangidan Yunju.
칼마 다딜람노 즉 칼바 망보릉라 아니 parjin to lazo ba choba de kalle mangbo chamne ni chetu be ji loko dangi yosang samba.
Then the second part of the title, which we actually don't have. It's omitted in English translation because here Bodhicaryavatara is a shortened name. The actual title of the Indian treatise is Bodhisattva Charya Avatara. And very often we just say Bodhicaryavatara, but actually when Khenpo comments, he is commenting now on this word sattva, Bodhisattva, right? So sattva here in Tibetan rendered as Sempa, and that means a courageous person, a hero, someone who has a lot of courage, a lot of determination. What kind of courage? What kind of person, here we referring to? Here in the title of Bodhisattva, Charyavatara, the sattva refers to someone who is not discouraged, who is not disheartened by the amount of difficult tasks that lie ahead of him or her in order to achieve that state of bodhi. So you see, Bodhisattva, sattva is someone who is going to put up with all the hardships, all the difficulties on the path, while practicing different types of practices like known as the 6 paramitas, 6 transcendental practices. And the duration for which one has to actually engage in these practices is said to be extremely long until one achieves enlightenment. We talk about eons. In Sanskrit, it's kalpa, eons and eons of time one has to be practicing for the sake of others. And so someone who is not discouraged by that, difficult task that lies ahead of oneself, someone who has a lot of determination to, despite all of those hardships, to still go towards one's goal, known as the sattva here, a courageous person.
Ni da changju semba zingni de nyamdu domyongdu ne sanje go pang donyer che yoken kanche la di sanje go pang tobe ji lamka joken di dowa la pa shuma meken tende kansa chela changju semba la bu yure.
And if we put together those first 2 Sanskrit words that Khenpo was commenting upon, bodhisattva. So who is a bodhisattva? Bodhisattva is an individual, someone who strives to achieve a state of a Buddha, a state of bodhi, of enlightenment, and someone who has a lot of courage and determination and is not discouraged by the sheer amount of work and difficulties that lie right on the path. So someone who's not losing one's heart and going forward towards that goal of enlightenment is known as a bodhisattva.
Also, ta de chela chopa second le yure. Ane chopa se de changju sembe ane legare. Changju sembe chawa. Changju sembe chawa de parere se de zana samba changju semji kulong dang jorwa paru de chimo tok. O tejo de ane changju sembe chopa. Dona parjin tu lamna ndege yure. Parjin tu ta samba changju semji ji senne parjin tu nyamnen chege korwa. O de changju sembe chopa res.
Next comes Charya. So we have that in our title, Bodhicharya. Charya means activity. In other words, it means work of a bodhisattva. Right now we spoke of a bodhisattva, an individual who strives to achieve Buddhahood. And Charya is the activity that a bodhisattva engages in order to achieve state of a Buddha. It refers to a mental attitude, frame of mind of a bodhisattva, but also to an actual engagement, like physically going through some activities, such as the 6 paramitas. So it refers to motivation, a special outlook, right? Because we also talk about that as an activity, but also it refers to actually engaging in activities of 6 transcendental practices known as paramitas.
Ani de chala chopa la jupa segure. Tida wo chopa ti nyamlin chedan kor ti ni sheba segure. Chopa
Shepa.
lo sheba. Jupa segure sheba dang ani deshe chapa dang yang din leka la drowa dang tena koya mangbo nanda tanda de chope ji kor shegi segure jara.
Oh, Bausha Dembushiedashi.
Bawa shata she.
Bausha Yashi. Okay. And the last part here of the Sanskrit title itself, Avatara. Here, in this specific context, Avatara means explaining, an explanation, a commentary. So it means a commentary on the activities of bodhisattvas. Sometimes avatara, or Tibetan term jukpa, also means to engage in, to enter into some activity. But here it doesn't mean entering into or engaging in, it means expounding on the activity of the bodhisattvas.
Chopa la jupi komrim tati changju sambe chopa la jupa te xewa le ze shabe yi pe jarawa tati komrim palju rumba che yi di nyamnen ji rinpa dang jar ne tab teu sik nyung nyung shugo kashe ching nang la gangsa chi le thangbo pe tati le thangbo pa dang di kebar mendo mi nangba sta ka sanje je songrab kya chombo longyung mekan ina peche di la lobchung yabo che na songrab di nega di kama kansam ji nyamlen chetan di tonda ne sama go tsu gore ya pe meso lobchung kya chombo shu ji mangbo shu che sarjo ye na che yo sama ye menga sama ji la du sha jo di ne peche di re de yore che du cho ni ja la ni ka so ro pen to ya palu ro ma jo korang do ina pe meso kya chombo re meze kambo chonju chibo nyamlen na kong meze chilo chonju tengma gya ninja chi mila xe tsare chonju tengma gya lobjong nang re lama mendo gya ramo chonju tengma gya nyang chang yo re wa dinde ki nyam nyong mangbo rik xa bo din pecha nega sama chola du xa kyo de kom nyamlen che de chen ji rinpa dang rik xa kyo de rik xa bo yin zang kaso wa danda de la kom rin song re.
Then we have a word in the title, or in English, it's actually a phrase, step-by-step guide. In Tibetan, it's very short, right? Gomrim. So the stages of practice, or step-by-step guide to practice, to meditate on the Bodhisattva-Charyavatara. So as I have said, Bodhisattva-Charyavatara is the title of an Indian text composed by Shantideva. Here we have a practical guide, right? The stages that explains the stages of practice for the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. And this text was composed by Patrul Rinpoche. And Patrul Rinpoche, he took the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, which is quite voluminous text, and he explained all the key points, all the crucial aspects of that really important Mahāyāna treatise, Bodhisattva Charyavatara, by means of only a few words. I mean, you have seen the text is really quite short, but it doesn't miss anything important. So this text is really great for beginners. Well, by that we kind of mean people who are not very learned in Buddhism, what we call the Buddha Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, someone who is not an expert, who had not studied a lot. And just by studying this text alone, such a person will come to understand all the crucial points of the Dharma, right? All the most essential aspects of Buddhism. But also this text is going to be very helpful for someone who is extremely learned, who had studied a lot of teachings of the Buddha, who is quite an expert, some scholar, we can say. Such a scholar, by studying this text, will come to understand how all of the whole of the Buddha Dharma, which is very vast, how it can be condensed in a very pithy way, in a very essential and practical way. So you might know a lot of things, such person might be very learned, but by studying this text, one will understand what is the most pithy, the most essential way of practicing the Dharma. And Patrul Rinpoche was very good for that because he himself was a great scholar of Buddhism. He was extremely learned. But when it came to his personal practice, Patrul Rinpoche, he had practiced only the instructions given in this text, Bodhisattva Charyavatara. He himself had taught this text to public around 100 or 200 times. Bodhisattva Charyavatara was the only text that he was teaching and explaining. And so he was living the text. He was actually internalizing all the teachings of the Bodhisattva Charyavatara and putting those teachings into practice. So he had such a very experiential understanding of the text. So when he teaches it, a scholar will also come to experience and understand the essential PIF instructions of the Buddha Dharma. So in this way, the text is so Patrul Rinpoche then composed this text, right, which is essential commentary on Bodhisattva Charyavatara. By means of only few words, he highlights all the crucial, you can say, essential PIF instructions of the Buddha Dharma. Can be very helpful for both beginners and so-called experts of Buddhism.
Nadiro komrim de ene arabsal nyema songchare ne rabdu salwa sedu lob tashung de tonda danju sheba do shung de la lobjong cheba tat lobjong cheba da nyamnen che kare na cheba ina ani sanje je songra bi kongba ji ne tamje salbo chin hago tu yere ha ko sarjo den zo yang menga ji lo sama ta teu thone pe je di du tu gore din inzang pe na nyema na shin se yere nyema de shar jong de momba sama ne meba so gore ani ngazo nangwa yakboji chegere ro nyema shawadang mi ge tong tu bu momba meba cha du ani jung de lo lobjong chaba ina on sanje ji songrab je dan karsa gore nyamlen chena rimba ta 당보 ne sonde tene tama borda nyamnen chena shelam dresum ne namja palcher tenalo pe yabo song ro yorwa ati ne 내가 sama 하고 두고 인기 시인상 님만 나신 res.
And now we come to the last part in Tibetan, which is the first part in English, the brightly shining sun. So this is the title that Patrul Rinpoche gave to his practical guide on the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. The text is going to help both study and practice the Dharma. We can come to learn about Buddhism and we can learn about how to put those teachings into practice, actually internalize them in our life. And this kind of process resembles the sun. The sun, when it comes out, it dispels the darkness, and thanks to the light, then we are able to see, because, well, we don't see well at night, right? If we're outside, it's dark, we don't see. So now it's thanks to the sun, when the darkness is dispelled and light manifests, we are able to see. So this is kind of what the text is giving us, right? Dispels our darkness and we're able to see how things are. So that's therefore we have this title, The Brightly Shining Sun, or Brilliant Sun.
So the share jawa shu so that beja de and there la shu yosa. Ni
Diketetsket yomare la viklikafo.
that de jala ane choju nang tamja le myong do tenangola de she choju konga saja da chago kon nang gobe chazal de segende ni chobar chobare.
So then if we start looking at the text, that comes after the title. So that was for the title. We have the verse here, a verse that is in italics in our translation. And the first two lines of the verse, this is a homage that the author is paying. That's known as paying homage, veneration. And the last two lines of this verse is a pledge to compose, actually making a pledge to compose this commentary. So we're going to look at that now, at these two aspects of paying homage and making a pledge to compose.
So that the church and Tamjaji in the Patrul Rinpoche Sarva Zeshario Kemare, Shivala Sunjo Tagarang, Sulashana Mare.
Ola sola. Sorry. So this homage is, this homage and the pledge to compose is not something that Patrul Rinpoche himself composed, but these are the words of Shantideva. So this is the verse from the Bodhicaryavatara. So this is the original verse that of the first chapter, the first verse.
Also, that the Tangbo, the church Nangayore, that the church check by the Kimzen, the Loban Lutu, the Nesungere, Tenju, Sepu, Tombala, Choba, Cheba, Deme Min, Tomba, and the Tembala, Kubache, Jeshir, Shendu Chi, Sungere. Data, Palun Lutu, the Suya Tonda, the and Sanje, Chesu Juba, the Kansan Nam Jes, the Sanje Sonra be Kondel, Zedi Yobayina. Tangbo, and Sanje dan, Changju Semba dan, and Londo Juche dan, Denzo La, and Church Nangayure. The Chogo Church Checobalo cover Kimson can view Mebaribas and Denemarati, Kuba Kiadan, and Teba Kiadan, Chui dan, Shungi Choja Gosoyadan, what then they depend on Mambojibaris.
Lopalati Lujubki Sekcheti Yankerchik Sunrona.
Tenju Chebu, Tomba La, Choba Cheba, Reme Min, Tomba Tangne, Temba La, Kuba Kechir, Shendu Chi.
Gupa Kechir, Shendu Chi.
Kuba Kere Mado Shama Kariyores. Kuba Kechir, Shendu Chi.
Lasso, Shendu Chi. In a Tinezikan Nipadi Jeme?
Choba Deu Meba Mare.
Jebo Meba Mare, Lasso.
Choba Cheba, Reme Min.
Lasso. So let's look at the first two lines of this verse, which are the homage, paying homage. And first, it's important for us, perhaps, to understand the reason for why the author, before unfolding his or her commentary, is paying homage. And to whom? The homage is paid to the Buddhas. And as the great master of the past, the Indian master Nagarjuna, stated, paying homage at the beginning of one's composition of a treatise, a commentary on the words of the Buddha, is not without a reason. And the reason, he says, is only one. What other reason is there besides through that homage generating one's trust and faith and respect to the Buddha? So let's look at this verse by Nagarjuna, which explains the reasons for paying homage. In other words, here Nagarjuna says that when the followers of the Buddha compose a treatise, so treatise, by treatise we mean any commentary on the actual words of the Buddha, right? It's not the direct words of the Buddha, but it's a commentary on the words of the Buddha composed by his followers. So that's what we call a treatise. And while composing a treatise, which expounds on the intent, right, the intent, enlightened intent of the Buddha, it's very important to, in the beginning, pay homage to the Buddha. That will ensure that the author's faith and trust unfolds and increases, that the homage also, what it results in a lot of respect And we know by paying homage, the author feels respect and veneration towards the Buddha. And that helps the author also to compose, to actually then engage in composition of the treatise within that state of faith, trust, and veneration to the Buddha. In the process of paying homage, and actually homage is being paid in the beginning of each and every treatise, Buddhist treatise. So in the process of paying homage, the author recollects the qualities, the amazing enlightened qualities of the three jewels of the Buddha, of the Dharma, of the Sangha. And by recollecting the qualities of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, then one accumulates merit, this kind of goodness in one's own heart, right? We call it also blessing, or we call something else blessing, but in other words, the author, by paying homage and by mentioning the qualities of the three jewels, the author accumulates merit, gains blessing, and that helps to dispel the obstacles, any kind of possible obstacles that might unfold in the process of composing the commentary. And when one paid homage, it will sort of ensure a very successful, say, composition of the treatise, that it will unfold without any major obstacles or hindrances, and one will actually complete what one had in unfold with one will complete what one embarked upon.
So that is that's ignorant the Mahāyāna. Deshik chuji konga situ da deshik sigure de heksan dewar shekba. Dewar shekba situ da yang sanje rang la labure tenji changjub dang chibare. Situ da der shek situ shekan mangbo yore de da shekdan de kebar mangbo chak yore. Ben ngarang so kewa ina dro drogu yore shek yore de korwa nang lang yamala kora chemna drogu yore mado dile chilo do drogu yore mare. Nyendwe dang rangjal namgi koro le chirol do dro yore de ina pang kwa ba tsangma pang sar yore mare lang kwa ba tsangma lang sar yore mare diyang dewar shakba chi chak tuku yore mare ane changchun samba nam shek shimbara de shakba tar chin yore mare ane shakba tar chin gende sura se tu sana sanje khona shak yore jasan dewar shakba se tu sana sanje la koko kudu.
So that was for the reasons for paying homage. And now let's look at the actual words of the homage. So here our text reads, "With devotion, I pay homage to the Buddha's gone to bliss, to their Dharma body, noble hairs, and all worthy of respect." So with devotion, I pay homage to the Buddha's gone to bliss. Buddha's gone to bliss. In Sanskrit, that is Sugata. We say Sugata, those who are gone to happiness, to bliss. In other words, that's just another name of the Buddha. And by Buddha, who is the Buddha? Who is the awakened one? We mean what we actually already explained in the beginning of this class when we explained the word bodhi, right? Remember, enlightenment has two sides to it, two aspects, purifying and unfolding. So that's actually what was also meant by a Buddha, someone who had unfolded all qualities, purified all faults. And such an individual, as it says here, is gone to bliss. Well, it's something not, unique to be going somewhere. We all are going. We are all on the road constantly. Actually, as it is said in the Dharma, we're all going in circles. That one circle that we're constantly wandering in is known as samsara, or cyclic existence. And we are circling in, we can't get out. So we are also constantly going somewhere, but there's no end to our going. There's no destination where we arrive. We just can't going in circles. There are those who have gone out of the circle, known as the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. And don't worry about Sanskrit terms, I'll give you those later. It's note of translator, because, well, Shravaka means a listener. That's the students of the Buddha, listeners, and Pratyeka Buddhas are the solitary realizers who realize the Dharma without relying on a teacher. And they have gone out of the cyclic existence of samsara. Well, does it mean they are the Buddhas? Well, not really. Even though they have gone out of samsara, they have not fully purified all the things that have to be purified. And they have not fully unfolded all the qualities that are there to unfold. So they're falling short, from the state of a Buddha. Well, what about bodhisattvas, right? We have seen today bodhisattvas, they also not within the cyclic existence of samsara. They're not wandering in samsara like us, ordinary beings, confused beings. And yet they still have not completed their journey. So only those who completed the journey are known as the Buddhas. And that's what is here referred to. Those who are gone to bliss, Sugatas, the Buddhas.
Devar Shekba said, Q Deva, Parul to Chama, True Lasso, Nyamzulan, and Devu Deva, and a Chokus and the Longes of the Kus, Kusum, Daniela Mariana, Kuni Dani, Chokuda Soku, Dini Daniela Shekba Yanzang, and the Devar Shekba Secure.
So when we say the Sugatas, gone to bliss, we talk about from the causal point of view and the resultant point of view. Both refer to bliss. The cause of going to bliss is the practice of the 6 paramitas, and it's a very, very joyful endeavor. So actually, the foundation, the cause is the bliss, and the result is also that of bliss or happiness. From the point of view of result, we talk about the kayas, the dimensions or bodies of a Buddha, because the Buddha has different dimensions to him or her. And we can talk about the 3 kayas, the 3 bodies. Kaya is a Sanskrit term. Or, Dharmakaya, Samkhagakaya, Nirmanakaya. Again, the Sanskrit terms I will type later to you. And we can also talk about the result from the point of view of only 2 kayas. Then we say the Dharmakaya, the Dharma body, and the Rupakaya, or the form body. So the dimension of the Buddha is the Dharmakaya, and as the Dharma body, and as the Rupakaya, as the formal body. So this is the result, and that's the bliss. And the cause of going there is the practice of the 6 transcendental perfections, and that's also blissful in itself.
Inju Sanje Rangla Sheki Sunguyore, Sanje Sede Kusumji Tani Am, Tani Sanamendu Kuni Tani Laguyodu, Kuni Songju Kokuyore, Shojuku Ngawa Ladu, Shoku de Pa Pu, Suku Chibu Maimba, Yang Suku Chibu Pa Sha, Choku Maimba, Tende, Yuang Marela, Lamayan, Nyeki Mare. Chazang Sanje Sede Kuni Songju Yingore, Choku Yona. 수군냠도 랑신 요약하래 수구도 여바이나 코로니고 추구 인카래 저서 공아 추유공아 선나 된지래 양 추유공아 다른 대신 못는 쇼기
추기쿠 디 추기쿠 제포마임파 순죽라
추유 송주로 보고 나서
레라인라 수기쿠 단 추기쿠 니카 고거래. So then the second line of the verse starts with to their Dharma body. Right? So the Buddhas who are gone to bliss and also their Dharma body. So what is the Dharma body? In Tibetan, it's actually literally says endowed with Dharma body. for those who are endowed with it. And endowed with Dharma body could refer to the unity, what we just spoke about, the union of Dharmakaya, of this dimension of the Dharma body, and Rupakaya, the form body. So when we talk about the Buddha, we don't talk about just a form, like embodied form alone. Never we can search and find that as the actual meaning of the Buddha. It's never only that form or embodied form. It's also always a Dharma form, a Dharmakaya. And there's more to say about that, but what's important for now to understand that this here refers to this perfect union of the different dimensions of, or bodies, literally, Kaya means a body, if we literally were to translate it, of the Buddha. The union of the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, the Dharma body and the form body.
Shedrub 다 산지 초주공가 labdusana 나 산제라래 도와 제도 다 최고 선나 간제지 라그레세도 닭바니든지 잉타르도 서그래 닭바니 된데도 람나 나라소지 semji chunye nelu de dewarshi bo nyingbo indu de yene 닭바 yin kare rede da ngazu sozo kyo da semjen da nyendra ranjal tenzo chela ane kasgore choguji ta kasgore nelu yene 닭바 de yore de nekab gi lor ji treba de 닭바 tarchin yo mare sozo kyo tigba zangma zangjan yore nyendra da ranjal tenzo tigba mangjawa 닭사래 장주 선바에는 드롱 대외자 마와 다사와래 할람할람 다사와 임바래 이나 드롱 하여로와 달로르지 제마던서 하거든요 이나 상제라 다딜로르 제발 하여로나 하여서 말해라나 싸우니는 하메바 인도 근데 로르지 제마양다 얘네야 다바인 제선 다바니든지 잉타도 라네 저 탐중이 내로랑신 동반이래 저바단 잘로래 대랑신 가래 임바디 아니 제마치시는 건도 줄봐 고동보 동장래람나 네 된대야 말해 네 동바 임발라 콜라 켐바나 저 니비 인디 숨냐 여바 인디 네 가서래 살동 송주게 다니진 된대지라는 저기 고라고 이래서
디초기고
나서
So to explain more what is meant by this Dharma body, right, in Sanskrit Dharmakaya, what we have here in the second line. In other words, Dharma body actually refers to the Buddha himself, because as we have seen, the Buddha has those different kayas, different dimensions. And so here Dharma body, Dharmakaya, as the union, refers to the Buddha. So what is, if we were to explain a little more, what is that Dharmakaya? What is that Buddha? We say that it's some state that is endowed with two complete purities. What are the two purities? One is the primordial, inherent purity of the natural state of our minds. So it's all, sentient beings, the true nature of our minds, of our being, is completely pure from the beginning. It's known as the Buddha nature, and we all have that Tathagata Garpa in Sanskrit, that Garpa, that potential for being a Buddha, or that primordial purity of being a Buddha. We all have that. That's one purity, and everyone is endowed with that. But what is the second purity, right, that comprises the Dharmakaya? It comprises of two purities, consists of two purities. So one is this primordial purity that all beings are endowed with. That's just the natural state of everyone. What about the second purity? This is something that we as ordinary beings don't have. Also the Shravakas, the listeners, the students of the Buddha, or Pratyeka Buddhas, the solitary realized ones, they don't have this. Even the Bodhisattvas don't. Because, well, compared to us, ordinary beings, what we call ordinary beings, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, those followers of the Buddha, they have already, purified some of the obscurations, but not all, right? And the Bodhisattvas have purified more than the Shavakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, but still they have something left. So what we say then, in other words, is that, even though we all have primordial purity, the first type, it's temporarily obscured, right? All beings have primordial purity, but it's temporarily obscured by fleeting, adventitious obscurations or veils. And though, Shavakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, they have purified those types of obscurations to some degree, but still not fully. And so it's only the Buddha who is endowed with two purities, the primordial purity that everyone has, but also the second type of purity, which is freedom from those adventitious obscurations that we still have. And so that state then of the Buddha, here the Dharma body, is when we say it's the unity. It's not just the state, this purity doesn't mean that it's like nothing then whatsoever is there left, like everything is purified and it's complete nothingness. No, it's not the state of voidness. What is achieved when one have purified the temporal obscurations and unfolded one's primordial purity? One achieves the state of union, perfect union of emptiness, freedom from all constructs, mental complexities, and of clarity or luminosity. It's the union of emptiness and clarity. It's not just emptiness like, oh, its purity means nothing whatsoever. No, it has the qualities of omniscient knowledge. The state has the qualities of unbiased love and compassion for all beings. That state has the quality of power, of capacities to help and guide others. So those qualities of knowledge, love, power, all present in that state. So it's not just nothing whatsoever, but it's the union of emptiness, means purity of obscurations and of all mental complexities and constructs, and of qualities, which represent this luminous side.
So, di chalata ku nga chevala, ane seje re. Se tana, chedang pomo dinjala koko yorwa. Tanda di, ane sanje ji se re. Sanje la se sum rauji shekire. Kuyi se, sum ge se, tu ge se rwa. Ane kuyi se di, tanda sanje shakya tupo rauji la cha sumba ina. Ane sanje ji kuyi se chajenzin. Kurang, gyalpa kappa shudu kapsu, sarja chung shudu kapsu, korangi saji chung rawa, di tajan zinri. Sungge sayate nyendyo na rangyal. Sanje ji sung shakpa ji sikdang tuyan rinzo, rani ji tuyo nyamzu lang, di ji kansa shenda shenla, chigla chig tuyo ne, mutu ne, gyun nyang rogo yoba indu, di sungge sayate nyendyo na rangyal.
Gondana chikla tene.
Chigla tuyo nyendyo ji mingla kapka su tuyo chok sikire. Sanje ne tuyo gire, tuyo be tuan sikdun dinzo, korangi loma yang la chagirwa. Yang di dine chene rogo yozang tuyo chok pa di nyendyo rangya, sungi su nyendyo rangya galre. Tuki se shangchuk samba. Sanje ji ta tuk ki se shangchuk samba lakho pa di, sanje korangi gobang tuyo be ki kyungu di shangchuk samba kone nyamlin chigo yore. Sanje ji tuki shegong zo de rangshin samchen thamche la pendo yare. Di lamga ngoye su jugan de shangchuk samba rite yore. Chechang sanje ji kongba ngone jugan de shangchuk samba yinsang tuki se de shangchuk samba.
So that was for the Dharma body, the Dharma Kaya, which is the union of emptiness and clarity. That's the what is paid, homage is paid here. And then next, we have noble heirs, offsprings. In other words, usually heir or offspring would refer to children, right? Like, boys and girls, like you have daughter or son. Here it's more specific than that. When we talk about the offspring, so heirs of the Buddha, we differentiate between the heirs of the Buddha's body, heirs of the Buddha's speech, and the heirs of the Buddha's mind. So he had this kind of offsprings of his body, speech, and mind. When we talk about the heir of the Buddha's body, that refers to the actual son of the Buddha, Shakyamuni, the son Rahula, at the time when Buddha was not the Buddha yet, but he was the prince Siddhartha. He had a wife and he had a son, Rahula. So that's like actual physical, right? Son of the Buddha, body heir of the Buddha. As for the speech, this refers to Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. So we just heard that Shravakas translated often as the listeners. And it's because Shravaka were, the students, disciples of the Buddha who listened to his teachings and would go and teach exactly what they heard to others. And so they listened and then they expounded upon the Buddha's teachings. And so they are known as the speech offsprings of the Buddha. Who are then the mind heir of the Buddha? That's the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva, what we've seen today, the individual striving on the path to becoming enlightened while undergoing a lot of different difficulties and taking up hardships. So why are they the mind, or we can say heart, the same actually in Tibetan, the heart disciples of the Buddha? It's because the main, we can say, goal of the Buddha, main concern of the Buddha is benefit of sentient beings. Buddhas are solely concerned and care only for the benefit of all beings. That's their frame of mind, that's their mindset. As for the bodhisattvas, bodhisattvas are the beings who are on the path, benefiting, serving, caring for all beings equally. In this way, then, bodhisattvas are engaging in the main goal of the Buddha and the main, you can say, purpose of the Buddha. Bodhisattvas are beings who dedicated their lives to that. And that's why they are the heart disciples, the heart heirs, offspring of the Buddhas, because they're actually engaging in the activities that the Buddhas are concerned with, benefiting all beings. So here then in this text, when it says noble hair, it refers to the heart hairs of the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas. So by noble, then among the body, speech, and mind, here the author pays homage to this third, the heart or mind offsprings of the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas. So not the Rahula, not his physical son, not the Shravakas or Pratyeka Buddhas. And then the last part of the homage, it says, and all worthy of respect. So here then the author pays homage to everyone, whoever is worthy of respect and veneration. Not only then the Buddhas, not only the Dharmakaya, and not only the Bodhisattvas as the noble offsprings, but everyone, also the Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, those listeners and solitary realizers, also to those who endowed with the vows, and anyone who is striving to benefit others, who is striving to help and serve other sentient beings, like parents. We can think of parents, right? How much they care for their children. Like anyone who is loving being, who is, helpful being, to all of those, the author is here paying homage.
다 된소 상말라 차사수된 괴배군의 차사로 송샤도와 그 누이 괴배군의 다 그런 농바 소소소소 나한테 차사나 먹배 주래 근데 산제지 좀비 도든잖아라 탈모 차례서 근도당 부메살로 쪽에서 근도당 내가 살로 쪽에서 근도당 어다되네 먹배 연구 주래 차사나 나가면 고 잠시 주래 송고도 다 된소 가리나야 대거나 차사야래 또나 현라 류주고는 고샵제더와 나주고는 다 차사 찌도 줘봐래 이주고는 다 봐줘들라 찌고 제보라 섬딩네 괴바 제보고 이래 섬딩네 봐줘라 아니 당화당 대바 요바 고고 이래 어 된들라는 차살라고 이래.
So with devotion, right, we're going then to the first word of the prayer, and in Tibetan still us. So with devotion, actually it also in Tibetan, it says directly with respect, we can say with this respectful devotion. What does that mean? When we talk about paying homage, there are so many different ways, right? In all our, in our respecting countries, we have our own ways to show respect, right? To show veneration according to the customs and traditions of our own places. So here then, when we look at the sutras, the direct words of the Buddha, it is said that, when homage is being paid, physically one has to join the palms of the hands together at the heart center, like with this kind of gesture, right? Maybe perhaps touch the ground with the 5 places, like with the knees and the hands and with the forehead. There are different, like 9 ways of physically paying homage. But in any way, what it means is that with our bodies, we need to be respectful, right? Perhaps like with this kind of gesture and a little bit bending down. With the speech, we also pay homage with the speech. And with the speech, we pay homage by reciting this verse. When we recite it out loud, that takes care of, paying homage by means of our speech, respectfully. But the most important is what's going on inside our minds when we pay homage. Physically, we might show the gesture, right? With our speech, verbally, we might say the prayer. But main point is that with our hearts, when we pay homage, we need to do it out of respect, out of devotion. That's what it says here, with devotion, with respect, with faith, with trust. In our hearts have to be open. When we pay homage, they need to be filled with some trust and faith. And that is the real, right? That's where the homage is happening. But also physically, we need to show some signs of respect, and verbally as well. So that's how the homage is being paid.
다 착찰 세근데 칙칙들라 대셔로서 노르지슈나 닐라 아니 대셔 잡나릭 나가 가셔요래 칙데 착 세도서는 권한게 락발랍요로 찰 세도서는 제 랍요래 제도 결혼 락발라 요비 톱당 나를 제로체 쓰기래 제도다 상제다 장주 삼바당 아니 담배 취한 남기 락라 가려요래서도 삼진지 동알 살려지 맨 아니 롱도 다 맹아데서 연구요래 와다 딩알 제로체 쓰게잖아 지로와 다 쪽직내 착찰 라드 착 라드잖아 쌍모습에 돈다래 아주 괜히 착색으로와 계좌 괜히 쌍모습에 돈다래 가리 쌍모습으로 나 랑신 선진 남기 섬라 요베 레다 녀몽 받은조 쌍모습으로 제스 살스디 제로체스 다 쌍모습나 아니 가르쳐고도 콜 낭주디 로고로와 나도 배나 가율 도지 나로 장마지 야부 쇠사오지라 나라 주 아니 자라고 당다 가리 사야 동안도 로고로 와 대삼주 장마 쇠네 삼주주 나라 아니 똑바당 챈바도 제 뉴바숨게 똑바디 다 제로체 거든에 로지 나고요래.
There's also something to be said about the word's homage itself, like paying homage. In Tibetan, it consists of two syllables, homage. Actually, same what when we say to prostrate, to pay homage. It has two syllables, chak, tsel. And if we were to give an etymological explanation, chak means hands, we can say, and tsel means to bestow, to give. And so when we pay homage, what is happening, according to this etymological explanation of the words, is that we request to the Buddhas to please give us what is in your hands. What's in your hands, chak, tsel, please bestow upon us. In other words, what we're asking for is instructions. It's pith instructions that the Buddhas have, so to say, in their hands on how to dispel suffering of all beings, how to put an end to this misery and pain of beings struggling in this world. So we request for these instructions from the Buddha. That's what happens when we pay homage. If we were to explain it etymologically, that's the one way of explaining it. There's another way to understand these two syllables, two words, chak and tsel in Tibetan. And chak also does not only mean hands in Tibetan, but it also means to clean, to actually to sweep, like we're sweeping the floor, right? From trash and garbage. So this is also what is meant by chak, to clean up, to wipe something off, to sweep away. And what is happening when we pay homage is that we also again request, we can say, the Buddhas to sweep away all the negative karma, all the negative actions, and all the disturbing emotions of all the beings, the difficult states of their minds, their negative actions. We're requesting is to just chuck, to sweep it like a trash, like garbage. And then the second syllable, tsel, means to bestow, right? So here we request then the Buddha having cleaned up, having purified the minds of all beings from our trash, so to say, we request to bestow the blessing of knowledge, wisdom, love, compassion, and power. Just like, if we have a cup and it's dirty, first we have to wash it up. We need to clean it. And then into the clean cup, we can pour some nutritious drink, right? Like a nice cup of tea. We're not going to pour it tea in a dirty cup. There's no point. So first it has to be cleaned, and then we can pour a delicious drink and enjoy it. Same with chak tsel. What happens when we pay homage? We request first to clean the minds of all beings, and then to bestow, to give us this nutritious, drink, so to say, of the blessing, power, love, and knowledge of the Buddhas.
제주 다치 니보디 군조숨라 네 차살완 되반나와래
Gonda?
자선다 제강 니보디 내셔 주지 공화 세제나 차고 군랑 괴배 차사서 근데 나조 군조숨 나네 차살로서는 민도 되바체서나 민도 아니 쳐버쳐바래
Chak tselva töpa.
Töpa chöpa, and chöpa chöpa, and the tonda chöpare.
So in this way, there's first two lines of the verse on our first page. They are the words or the lines of homage, or we can say praise. We can say veneration, respect, prostration to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, right? What is known as the three jewels, the triple gem, the jewel of the Buddha, the jewel of Dharma, and the jewel of Sangha.
다 대체라 세강니 보데 잠버 담자와 쓰기 유래 잠버 담자고 캘린지가 넣어놔와 네 배제디 잠그 인쓰기 유래 다 지금은에 시월라에 잡아 인도 시월라에 존재 잠그 인쓰긴 정인 담자나 바로와 다디 직바치는 발루좀 보지 세다라샤 윤디 존주기 검름데 잠그 인 데데 캘린나 바래.
And then the last two lines of this verse is a pledge of the author. In other words, promise, a commitment that the author makes to actually compose the treatise. Because, right, they first composed these first few lines where they are promising us that they're going to complete the task. So since this verse is taken from the actual root text of the Bodhicaryavatara, we understand that Shantideva composed these few lines where he made the promise to compose or to explain, to fulfill the task of composing the text, the Bodhicaryavatara. And since Patrul Rinpoche, he had borrowed the same words, we understand that Patrul Rinpoche is making a promise or taking a pledge to compose this guide, this practical guide to how to practice the Bodhicaryavatara.
가야잖아. 원래 미끼고 담반남게 네 내가 켈렌 망보 남게 말해. 대적인 파괴적인 약의적인 남내 켈렌 망보 지금 말해. 가스 켈렌 제바이나 돌아 리모코 반나신도 켈렌 제샤바디 다고 죽철로제는 탑재단게 이래. 근데 진짜 포스 희와당 매바자는 탑재가 말어와. 근데 소부 당번 매바당 내 나서 섬선은 답지죠 말어. 대마도 근데 강에 간제 도바이나 깬 가리 도바이나 권 켈렌체비 레가디 주초로 남게래. 뒤 전제라 아니 시월라당 발루르면 콘나마 양 아니 켈렌 남게 요래.
So why do we have this pledge to compose in the beginning of the treatises? Why do the authors have to actually make a promise to us that they're going to compose this treatise, bring it to a completion? Well, it is because the sacred holy beings like Shantideva, Patrul Rinpoche, and others, they do not make many promises, they don't take many commitments in their lives. But once a sacred holy being makes a promise, this is unbreakable. It's like carved in stone. Unlike ordinary beings, we can make many, many promises here and there and maybe forget some. These kind of beings, what we call noble beings, they don't make many commitments, but once they make, they never waver away from them, like carved in stone. So unless they, of course, extremely sick, right? Unless they are dying, besides those two things, no matter what other circumstances befall them in their lives, no matter what hardships they experience, right? What difficulties they encounter, no matter what, once they promised, they're going to complete, the task, they're going to bring it to completion. And so to then illustrate that, in the beginning of the treatise, they make that verbal promise, that they take that, commitment, make commitment, take a pledge, so that once they made it, they know that unless, of course, something, very serious happens to their lives, to their bodies, no matter what, they're going to fulfill their promise to us.
That's a done issue on the Dozishuna. The Shek said, Domla Jubani, Lungshin Dordu, Nene Chobarchasa. That the Shek said, and she shoots at Changes and Bare. Kui se, Sungas, Tugis and Anna Tugis, Changes and Banamdi, Dom. That's Dom de Chola Dortu on Narawa. Changes and Banamdi, Nyams Lanya de Pardu Doshima, Chudang, Chudang, and the Lebure. That Java Chena. Shojupumba Jetishi Ronsana, Lebing Gure. Tatsula Duna Sora Yala Juni Dang, Tenemambala Du Rogure, Tenzo Rere Yitona Javashena, and Mesa Mambasha Rogure. In Nazo Tuzu tongdong jela lobjong chegni labar chena tos kala khabere de tuzu mangbo shara jite kurwa ta tuzu tos nyung chingna la nega mangbo jaha kongo yuna kondo yuna kongo chonju de zena bare ta tanda samla dana chonju yang azul tuzu tos reng chawro chegi dwa de yang ani solo dor tuye che dani palu rumba je song chaba de chonju komrem de chawro yure ani sangje ju songra gi chachumbo yoba nang ne tabteo Lalawo hakwe ji tom lo ji ni la juk sana mi do tom la nyamlen che da tom ju ko la reshe che dan di ani lungshin dor du ne ne che bar cha sumre de korang gi nawa kangshar do dan korang gi sem khari chen ne che ne li ya bo sa pa ge ya bo sa re ani den re mai ba sanje ji do na la khan re sung do na la sung ba na shin do ani korang gi nyamlen khan re che ba nyowa khan re le sha Tikman la chung shakba ji lama lojub la soba tang kono mani nyamlen na ne menga khande nangdu. Ta lung da rigba da menga ji namba tang mangalwa che ne takda do du sheki nsa.
So let's briefly look at the actual words of the pledge to compose. The text reads, "In accordance with the scriptures, I shall now in brief describe how to adopt proper conduct, the way of Bodhisattva's heirs." The way of Bodhisattva's heirs, this refers to the Bodhisattvas, the way of the Bodhisattva's practice. As we have seen, the Buddha had the heirs of his body, speech, and mind, and here it refers to the offsprings of his mind, of his heart, these heart disciples of the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas. So how to adopt proper conduct, which is the way of Bodhisattvas. Here, proper conduct, or we can understand is how to properly engage in the practices, in the vows of the Buddha's heirs. That refers to the practice of the 6 paramitas, right? So here, author, like Shantideva first vowed to explain the practice of the 6 transcendental perfections. Actually, if we think about the conduct, the practices of the Bodhisattvas, they are extremely manifold. In reality, there are like 84,000 different sets of teachings, instructions, methods, how to engage on the path, how to engage with the practices. If we were to condense those 84,000 sets of teachings, we also speak about the 12 melodious teachings of the Buddha. But what happens is often we as individuals, followers of the Buddha's teachings, don't have that much time to go, and study in detail 84,000 different sets of teachings, right? We don't have time, we don't have means. Well, what happens is then the teachers like Shantideva vowed to compose for us, for the sake of us, the texts that will take those, very vast, profound teachings of the Buddha and compile it in a way that we can relate to, that we have time to study and understand, and we have time to implement that in our lives. So Shantideva then, he condensed the 84,000 sets of teachings and composed the Bodhicaryavatara. Right, that was what he promised here, to something that we now can practice, we can study, we have time to. Well, in our case, in the case of the summer program, well, we can't study Bodhicaryavatara in that duration. It takes some months. So then, for the sake of beings like us, very busy ones, then Patrul Rinpoche, he even took the way of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhicaryavatara, and only condense it further, kind of like extracting the most essential, key points, and put that in this practical step-by-step guide in a way that it's extremely easy for us to understand, easy to implement, very convenient because, well, it doesn't take a long time to study this text, to understand it. So this is something that, we're going to look at. So that's what the authors promise here, a promise to show us the proper conduct, those different methods, those different trainings of the Bodhisattvas. Right, and they're going to make it in a very, very brief, essential way. So it says here, I shall now in brief describe. It's something that we busy individuals of the 21st century can actually benefit from. And he is going to explain the text in accordance with the scriptures. So that makes a point that here both authors, Shantideva and now Patrul Rinpoche, they're not going to tell whatever came to their mind, and they're like, oh, I personally think it's a good idea, and then they can put it into writing. No, this is not done in that way. The treatise is not composed just based on one's own assumptions, but rather by following the guidance of the scriptures. The scriptures refers to the direct words of the Buddha himself, or the previous commentators on the words of the Buddha, the statements that are found in their treatises, perhaps the oral instructions received from one's own teachers, the lamas. So following those instructions, those guidelines found in the scriptures, scriptural statements, reasoning, right, experiential knowledge passed down to, it's only in accordance with that they're going to compose this treatise, rather than just rather than just a self-made speculations, but really precisely following the teachings of the Buddha and the masters of the past.
So, nothing
И на co dziczywa chilen sam chikra yan tutsu sanine laila naso digere laila. So we actually now coming close to an end of our class. We're running out of time, and from tomorrow on, I will dedicate 15 minutes at the end of class, Khenpo says, to question and answers. So now you can think about what was said today, prepare your questions, and from tomorrow we will also take your questions. And at the end, we will dedicate, which you can also find at the end of the file, which says class prayers. Khenpo adinaco na consola chimpa di ngova sonamdi tene janchup semchok boche dini.
Sonamde damje zebani tone nyebe jana bamje kenga naje balam jobai sebe zolen tolwara jo chanjo senjo remboje Mage banam ge gyurje ge ba nyamba me ba yang gongde gongdo belwara sho laso